Hoekstra, Jane Harman,
John McCain, Dick Durbin,
Barack Obama,
Senator Roberts, Senator Lieberman,
George Allen, Charles Schumer,
John Kerry.
Osama bin Laden is going to die of kidney failure before he's killed by Karl Rove and his crowd.
Al Gore says it may be an impeachable offense, and he's called for a special counsel to investigate the entire matter. Do you agree with that?
I agree that we ought to have a special counsel investigate. I agree that we ought to have an independent commission.
Senator Kerry said this morning he thinks there needs to be a special counsel appointed to investigate that. Would you go that far, Senator Lieberman?
I don't see the need for that yet.
Senator Kerry says it's a clear violation.
Well,
do you agree with that?
He hasn't been briefed on the program. If FISA is being violated, then we should either change FISA or change the program.
But you do not believe that currently he has the legal authority to engage in these warrantless wiretaps?
You know, I don't think so, but why not come to Congress? We can sort this all out.
But if the president came to us and said there are changes in technology, changes in the threat to America, we need to change and modify the law, you bet he would have a Congress ready to work with him. Well, I haven't been urging others to vote, as I'm going to vote, against Judge Alito.
Do you think that's a legitimate campaign issue in the 2006 elections?
But if he goes to the court and comes forward with rulings such as we've seen from Justices Scalia and Thomas time and again, it will be an issue.
To vote against him is one thing, and to filibuster requires what I think is a much higher standard.
Want to filibuster? Let him. We'll pull the constitutional trigger, and as far as I'm concerned, it's not too much to ask the senator to get off of his or her cushy seat and show some backbone and spine and vote yes or vote no, but vote.
Do you think your colleagues, your Democratic colleagues on the Judiciary Committee missed a beat during the hearings by emphasizing issues like his personal ethics, failure to recruit in Vanguard, his membership in the Concerned Alumni of Princeton, rather than these issues?
But that is certainly the criticism that I have heard.
No, I think it's a bipartisan scandal because look, the lobbying is out of control. But the reason why the lobbying is out of control is because of the process.
I think the problem of money in politics is bipartisan. I think that all of us who are involved in the political process have to be concerned about the enormous sums of money that have to be raised in order to run campaigns.
Would you consider public financing of campaigns?
I think that we should consider all approaches that would reduce the amounts of money that are required for campaigns.
There's a new Hotline poll out this week, and let's put it up. It shows you crushing, I think that's the only word you can use for it, crushing Hillary Clinton by 16 points, 52% to 36%. Senator, does that get your heart beating a little faster this morning?
No, it means that my name ID is up, and it means that all of this is ephemeral, and anybody 3 years before an election who's looking at that election is only a political junkie like you and me.
But have you insisted that your staff start calling you Mr. President?
I make them sing Hail to the Chief, but I haven't gotten to the Mr. President. Most of them still I allow to call me John or Your Majesty.
Does that kind of chatter make it harder for you to run again in 2008?
It doesn't. Look, first of all, that's a decision for the future. But secondly, you're looking at the expert on not listening to the chatter of Washington, D.C.
Democrats haven't turned to a losing nominee, I think, since Adlai Stevenson. Why should they do it next time?
Well, maybe the Republicans know something we don't. Richard Nixon, Ronald Reagan, and I'm hearing a lot of talk about John McCain. Seems to me he ran for president and lost. Look, I don't know what I'm going to do, George, but I'm not going to be moved, I will tell you, by the behind-the-scenes anonymous chatter of Washington, D.C.
I think there's a very good chance that Senator Obama is on the Democratic ticket in 2008 as the vice presidential nominee. Do you agree?
No. I can't speculate on those kinds of things. What I have said is that I'm not focused on running for higher office. I'm focused on doing the job that the people of Illinois just sent me to do. I will serve out my full 6-year term.
The White House Deputy Chief of Staff, the President's top political advisor, speaking out earlier in the week. Once again, we're joined by our guest, Republican Senator George Allen. He's in our Washington.